Welcome to Raptor's Recon, and today's subject is Lucasfilm racist? That's right, folks. Is Lucasfilm racist? First off, I want to give a shout out to the Gospel According to Mark with the C for pointing out the article that I used for today's topic. Thanks a lot. You're doing a great job. Okay, so let's get started. The article basically is by Lindsay Kupfer. It's called Thandie Newton Opens Up About Breaking Star Wars Glass Ceiling. Okay. Um, it goes Thandie Newton, who is the first woman of color to have a leading role in a Star Wars film, says it's extraordinary that it's taken 10 movies to get here. I felt excited that I could let go of my own personal resentment and frustration and feeling of hopelessness, frankly. Newton told Page Six at the Tribeca Film Festival Westworld premiere on Thursday. I just felt like celebrating every single day, and that celebration kind of was reflected in the way the movie felt because it was such a great experience working alongside the cast. Her role of Val in the upcoming Solo, a Star Wars story, is still a bit of a mystery, though fans do know that the film follows young Han Solo in his escapades around the galaxy. It felt brand new, the 45-year-old actress told us. We were pirates, you know what I mean? If I had It had that vibe of just rebels out there, and that's kind of what I feel like. Because in order to break glass ceilings, you kind of got to be a rebel. Rebels get stuff done in a different language. Anyway, trying to keep it clean. Newton expressed her thanks to Solo producer Allison Shearmer and Star Wars executive producer JJ Abrams, who is also a producer on Westworld. JJ Abrams really started the conversation by casting John Boyega in Star Wars The Force Awakens, Newton said. I know it was really down to JJ Abrams that John had that prominent role, and it really started it going. I'm just so grateful to him. He's a single individual, and what he's doing in cinema is unprecedented. I wish it wasn't unprecedented, but it is. Okay, so let me get this straight. This actress thinks that she is breaking some kind of glass ceiling at Lucasfilm and with the Star Wars saga in general. So that not only implies, that actually comes out and says that Lucasfilm has been racist. And if you take that into account, if you take this article into account, as well as things said by JJ Abrams, Rian Johnson, like think about what he just said recently. We need less white directors, in Star Wars. And talk about people being sexist, misogynist, etc. You insert a any kind of label in there, and this is what Star Wars was, according to the new leadership. Now, I'm going to say that, let me tell you first off, before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this is a failure at the top levels of the leadership of Lucasfilm right now. And I point that directly at Kathleen Kennedy. Sorry, but in any organization, your people speak, react, and that entire culture is driven from the top down. Okay, when there's problems at an organization, the change has to happen from the top down, because if you don't take care of the culture of an organization, then you're not going to see true change. Okay, and you're going to see a reflection of what that culture is in how people speak and address people, and etc. So here we are, and we have this actress saying that she felt like she was breaking a glass window, and that she felt personal resentment and frustration and a feeling of hopelessness. A feeling of hopelessness? With regards to Star Wars? With regards to Lucasfilm? Are you kidding me? You should be happy. You should be happy that you got a role. And instead, you use it as a chance to generate publicity with identity politics. Whoa, here we go. Social justice warriors on the campaign. Here it is. Because Star Wars never had any minorities, right? Let's look back from the beginning. There were no minorities in Star Wars. Okay? And I'm talking about actors, I'm talking about any kind of people helping out with sets, production, sound, nothing. No minorities. It was all white. Everybody was white. And not only just white, it was all white guys. That's the narrative. That's the narrative right now, and it's disgusting. And it should disgust all of you. If you're a real Star Wars fan, this nonsense should disgust you. So let's take a look at it. I mean, let's be honest here. Let's do some self-reflection here. Let's take a look at Lucasfilm and what George Lucas has put together. And let's see if it indeed was racist. So let's go right back to the first movie, right? A New Hope. The very first movie. Any black actors? Any minorities of note? No major characters or anything like that? I don't think I look Luke, Leia, Han, Chewbacca. No. How about Darth Vader? Darth Vader, the voice of James Earl Jones, voicing the most sinister character and iconic villain in any movie. James Earl Jones, much respect. James Earl Jones. But there was no minorities involved. There was none. I mean, it's disgusting. You look at Empire Strikes Back, very next one, and I'm just highlighting big ones, okay, right now. There are plenty other actors and actresses in there. You had, what character? Lando Calrissian. Billy D. Williams, playing a complex character. One who, yeah, he was super suave, he was smooth, loved the ladies, you know. And he was his own little swindler and scoundrel, but he had also taken on the responsibility of an entire city. So you saw a character who was torn because he had to represent probably thousands upon thousands of people and protect them from the Empire, while also balancing that with taking care of his best friend, one of his best friends, in Han Solo. So you saw that, and you saw how he had to try and play both sides to try and get the best, outcome for everyone. And later on in Return of the Jedi, he would, his character would develop, and he would, become, a hero. I mean, his journey started in Empire Strikes Back. Great character, solid character. There were plenty. Oh my gosh, there were so many characters in Star Wars that represented all different types of races. Now, like I said, I'm just highlighting some of the big ones. I'm flashing up here on the screen though pictures of a lot of different actors and actresses who have played roles who are quote unquote minorities. But let's go now to the prequels, all right? Let's take a look at the prequels. So is there anybody of note in the prequels? Any major character or characters? There were plenty of Jedi Knights and Jedi Masters who were people of color, who were female. There was a full representation. But who was the baddest mofo out there for the Jedi? Samuel Jackson as Mace Windu. Now, Mace Windu was at the top of the Jedi Order alongside of Yoda. And he was the only one to straight defeat the Emperor in combat. Okay, Darth Sidious. This was verified by Lucas. His skills with the lightsaber, his strength in the Force, his lightsaber style was all tailored to fighting Sith Lords, and he was able to beat them. And if it wasn't for Anakin coming in and chopping his hand off, the Emperor was toast. Samuel Jackson, African American actor. the most powerful, arguably the best warrior the Jedi had at the time in the prequels. Beat Jango Fett, beat Sidious, was wrecking stuff. But there was a glass ceiling because obviously minorities were not being accounted for in Star Wars. I mean, do you see what I'm talking about here? It's disgusting. So where does that leave us as fans? I mean, when you see this stuff and you listen to this stuff, I mean, you got to sift through this. And this junk is nonsense, okay? It is absolute nonsense. I try to avoid even talking about the subject because I was hoping against hope. I know there's discussions about, you know, Rey's a Mary Sue, and there's plenty of examples of that, and how the Force is female, and then now they're trying to ship Han and Lando. I mean, can we quit this stuff? Because you know what? I think that Lucasfilm now is more racist than it was before. Because what's worse than when you're playing gender politics or identity politics or whatever politics where you are using tokenism? And what I mean by that is you've got a group of people up there and they are trying to exploit under the banner of progressivism minorities. They're exploiting that. When they came out with this announcement about the second set director, how she's African American. Hey, good on you. That's awesome. And I fully support everything. Diversity is awesome. But why is that a big deal? Who cares? Does anybody know about that second director? Anybody heard anything about that position previously? No. But on the coattails of success from Black Panther, which was an amazing movie, by the way, and I'm much respect to all the actors and everybody involved with that movie. I thought it was awesome, as a side note. They are trying to promote Star Wars through identity politics, through tokenism. I have a token black person here. Look at The Last Jedi. Token Asian characters, even in The Force Awakens, even though I love those actors. Token Asian character, okay? We're putting them in there, all right? Now, that's not to say that those characters weren't good. Some were good, some were bad, okay? Or some were just token, okay? Look at The Force Awakens. Look, I love the martial artists that were in there playing the gangsters. Look, man, I've seen some of their flicks, and they are the bomb, okay? those are some awesome actors, and they're awesome martial artists. Much props. Love it. But they really had kind of token, unnecessary parts. Good, they were good parts in for what they were, but it was kind of token parts. But you had some good ones. Maz Kanata, played by an African American woman. Hey, it's great. I'm all for that. But you have these themes. I mean, look in the Last Jedi with the situation with Finn and the token Asian girl who we will not mention her name because she's just as bad as Jar Jar Binks, if not worse. That was horrible, man. Seriously. I mean, what? We couldn't have Finn, the black main character, getting with Rey because she's a white girl? I mean, what's wrong with this? Is there something wrong with that? If anybody should have a relationship, they should. They met each other. They went through struggles together. They grew a friendship together. They had some kind of bond together. Not some arbitrary insert Asian girl here to have a relationship with the black guy. I mean, think about that. Think about the stereotype about that. That's messed up, man. I don't care who you are. That's messed up. But this is what they're passing off as progressive, enlightened social justice because Star Wars was previously broken? Let me tell you something. You look at what Lucas did. he made Star Wars about good versus evil. The Skywalker trilogy, like he said, was more of a soap opera. It was about a family struggle, the growth, the relationship between a father and son, and eventually daughter, and how that all transpired, and everything like that. And yes, were there some political overtones, in there? Yes, as part of the story, obviously. There was an evil empire, fascism, against a democratic republic, right? Of course. But in Star Wars, there's not a sense, and this is one of the things that I actually found, pleasing, is that when you look and you saw those characters up there wasn't the racism that we have experienced and seen in day-to-day life. You didn't see that there. You saw white characters, black characters, Latino characters, Asian characters, all interacting, along with aliens of every race and creed, droids, you name it, all interacting. But there wasn't a sense. Now you had a situation where you had the obviously the criminal element, and slavery was a topic, right? So that was a topic. But you didn't have blatant, like, hey, you are a minority and you are this and you are that. You did have a xenophobic empire. That's true. They did not like aliens, and Grand Admiral Thrawn was an exception to that. But anyway, where I'm going with this is Star Wars was separate from our day-to-day problems. We don't go to Star Wars to sit there and see a reflection of our own problems. And if you look at a lot of these articles, there's a lot of articles, and you start digging down into the meat and potatoes there, and you start reading what they're saying. They're saying that we need characters to identify with, to identify as Hispanic, as black, as XYZ, gender, this, that, the other, to identify with. Did I have a problem identifying with any of the characters? No. I identified with Luke. I identified with Han. I identified with Chewbacca. I identified with Leia. I identified with Padme, Anakin, Yoda, Obi-Wan. I mean, I could relate to them, and they had meaning because of the story, because of the quality of the story, and what it was that Lucas was trying to tell. Okay? And he did so brilliantly. Now, sure, some people have some heartache about the prequel, but I at least thought there was a cohesive theme throughout. And let me tell you, throughout those processes, Lucas made sure that, he included everyone. He included everyone. So the people who are jumping on this bandwagon right now are accusing George Lucas of being racist. You are accusing George Lucas and Lucasfilm of being racist or sexist when you get we only have 25% representation in imagery or whatever it was. I read in an article the other day of females. Come on, give me a break. Were the other people unqualified? No, perhaps it's just the way it is. I know it's kind of a harsh topic, but the genders are different, and there are certain career paths that certain genders gravitate towards more than the others. Does that make it good or bad or ugly? No, as long as there's equal opportunity. But you get people talking smack like like Rian Johnson. Oh, we need more than just white directors. Well, why don't you step down? Give up your dang trilogy to somebody else who's more deserving of it. Show us your grandstand. No, he won't do that because it's all tokenism. It is minority exploitation. Guys, this is not enlightenment. They're exploiting minorities to generate press, to generate interest. When in reality, that interest should be generated not because the emotion and interest should not be generated because of some social justice program. It should be generated by the quality of the films that are being produced. It should be generated by the fantasy, the sci-fi, the wonderment that you have, the desire inside to say, wow, I got to go see this movie because it's going to be amazing. We know it's going to be good. That's how you went. You were excited when you went to a George Lucas film. And at this point, after what happened with The Last Jedi, especially, The Force Awakens started it, but at least JJ Abrams provided a lot of plot points. But then you go on to now the Force Awakens, from The Force Awakens, and you go to The Last Jedi, and it basically crushed everything from the original trilogy. And oh my gosh, it's horrible. So now they're generating all this press on social justice issues. And frankly, like I said, I am ultimately the most upset with Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, she has betrayed George Lucas's trust and the confidence that he put in her, I mean, from top to bottom. And he has taken his creation, his children, and he has warped it. She's warped it to something that he would never accept in a million years. But now he can't say anything about it because he sold it. He sold it to Disney, to the white slavers. Okay? And the white slavers are using minorities as tokens to generate press and money. I mean, isn't that the irony of that? Isn't that the irony of the statements that were being said? I mean, it just boggles my mind. I mean, to say that only now is Star Wars diverse and representing people is an insult directly to George Lucas, and it calls him out as a racist. He is a racist white guy, according to what they're saying, and because it was his organization and he ran it. Like I said, leadership goes from top down. So he's a racist. Lucasfilm was a racist. Everybody was racist until Kathleen Kennedy. They were racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, every phobic. You know what? No. Star Wars didn't have any of that mess, okay? It was a story told in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago, right? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, way separate from the problems that you and I face from day to day. Do I want to go see a movie that shows me the problems of day to day living? No. I go to see Star Wars to escape, to see a battle between good versus evil, dark versus light. I want to see the light overcome the darkness, okay? I want to see the themes of redemption. I want to see, this mythos played out. I don't want to see racism. I don't want to see sexism. I don't want to see, male bashing, this bashing. I don't want to see characters shipped because of, some fans on one side want to, have an agenda. No. I want to see what George Lucas created. All right? And it's frankly disgusting that everybody will be talking all this trash like Star Wars and Lucasfilms has been racist and exclusive when that is not the case. I mean, I'm putting this picture up here. Has anybody seen George Lucas's wife? She's black. I mean, let's get real, folks. George Lucas isn't racist. Lucasfilm was not racist. His movies were not racist, okay? So unless you're accusing George Lucas of being Clayton Bigsby, Dave Chappelle shout out, unless you're accusing him of being that, I think this is disgusting. And you all should just shut up. And I think Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy needs to get off the sexist SJW nonsense and focus on creating good stories. Maybe you should have listened to Mark Hamill for The Last Jedi, at least for some of it. Okay, there's so much fan backlash from that. And it's not because Rey's a woman, okay? It's because she's a Mary Sue. She does nothing. There is nothing to relate to her for. She cannot fail. I mean, you kill off the main bad guy in like the most unceremonious of ways, and you can't. And you think the backlash is because people don't like minorities? All right, let's talk about minorities one more time. How about Finn? Right? He had a great character arc in the first movie and development. What'd you do with him in the second movie? He was comedic relief. Token black guy. He got relegated to the back seat, and all you did was gave him some token Asian chick, and then you put him on a side adventure that had no meaning. And it actually caused more problems for the rebellion, or the resistance. So, you're telling me this is a enlightened and wonderful Star Wars that we're seeing now? No. That's even worse. At least Lando, that was an integral part. His whole Lando Calrissian was huge. He had to try and save Han. He had to try and take care of Han's friends. He had to try and save his people of Cloud City. I mean, that had impact. He helped blow up the second Death Star. Impact. Okay? Real, tangible impact. Real story. Not nonsense. And incohesive, plot hole-filled garbage. Which is what The Last Jedi was. Sorry, dude. Y'all, if you like that movie, I respect your opinion, but my gosh, you got to take the Star Wars glasses off. Look, I love Star Wars. I've loved it since '77. Okay, because I saw it as a little kid with my dad. Okay, in the movie theater, and it was amazing, and I've loved it ever since. And I'm one of the hugest fans. Let me tell you, but the nonsense that is being pushed out now, and this social justice garbage does not need to be in our Star Wars. Star Wars is not about that. They need to get back to the basics, get back to what George Lucas created, and stop dissing him, because this is a diss to George Lucas. You're calling him a racist. You're calling what the organization that he created sexist and everything else. And that is unacceptable. Anyway, much shout out. I'm going to shout out also to Geeks and Gamers, SC Reviews for touching on this subject as well, and a bunch of others out there. Much props to y'all. Thanks for listening to Raptor's Recon. What do you think? Do you think Lucasfilm was racist? Do you think the original trilogy was sexist and racist in any way? You think George Lucas, who was married to an African-American woman, is racist? Or do you think that Kathleen Kennedy is exploiting minorities for financial gain? Love to hear your comments. If you enjoyed the topic, subscribe and give me a like. Thanks a lot.